I would like to introduce our guest speaker today, Jonas Weitzman from New York. And Penny and I were so excited, and neither of us can remember how we originally met Jonas. All we knew is that he had a passion to change the way we think about long-term care, and that he loved JAWS. And he wanted to come and share with us the work that he's doing. Now, Jonas was a business major, a film person in New York City. So I'm not going to take his thunder by telling his story, but a personal experience. And from what you've heard so far, there are personal experiences that do make a difference when you choose this career, that probably are pivotal, like my mother. Okay, but Jonas has his, and I'm going to let him tell you. He has been a nursing assistant and still is. He's also a nursing home administrator in training, almost halfway or a little bit more through. 53, a little bit more, yes. Today, Jonas and I and some others visited one of our partner facilities, and you can tell this man loves his work. So without any further ado, we'd like to introduce you, Jonas Weitzman.
It's amazing that you guys are doing this work and starting young, and I'm happy that you're starting with middle schoolers, but I'm thankful that you didn't invite middle schoolers to this talk. Should we get into it? Yeah. The biggest penis I ever held belonged to a quadriplegic Mexican man named Alfonso. I'm not a big gym rat, but I am convinced if you did enough curls of this thing, you would get pretty shredded. Have you ever gotten a double meat burrito from Chipotle, and when the cashier hands it to you in the tin foil, it's like embarrassingly heavy? That was Alfonso. Despite his gift, Alfonso was the nicest man alive. Plus, he had incredible neck mobility. He was paralyzed from the shoulder down, but he compensated for it with the neck and jaw strength of a snapping turtle. Alfonso once told me that he could eat a watermelon faster than anybody in Albuquerque. I never actually got to see that happen, but I believe him. Nobody with that big a penis needs to lie. Let's go to the next slide. Like Alfonso, this is gonna get more about long-term care now. Like Alfonso, the term long-term care is huge and intimidating. It often gets interchanged with long-term supports and services, and some people just use the umbrella term aging, but I like the term long-term care. It says what it is. Care is when you practice the art of living with beings who can't fully practice on their own. And long-term just means long-term. I want to point out the word with here instead of for. Many fields of health and wellness aren't like that. You don't go to the dentist like, hey, let's fill this cavity together. But long-term care is uniquely collaborative. Now, some of you professionals out there might say, Jonas, that's kind of a broad definition, to which I would say, your mom's kind of a broad definition. Yeah, if you guys could like laugh at some of the things, it would really help lubricate this whole situation. Thanks. The definition is intentionally broad because long-term care is intentionally broad. A husband cutting pizza into smaller pieces for his wife because she has trouble swallowing, that is long-term care. But you know what else is long-term care? Their financial advisor, joining them for dinner, helping them to reassess their retirement plan. Is she scheming to write herself into their will? I don't know, honestly. That would not be long-term care. But you know what is long-term care is the chef of that same restaurant. He remembers the bottle of wine that they drank on their very first date and brings it to their table. From the looks of the look on the chef's face, he might be in cahoots with the financial advisor. I'm not totally sure about that. Again, that would not be long-term care. You know, the point here is that we are all practicing living with beings that can't fully practice on their own, because nobody can fully practice on their own. Some people just need a little more help than others. Had I not spent the last 3 years running around nursing homes, I probably would have introduced myself like a normal person. Hi everyone, I'm Jonas. I am a Jew from New York. My pronouns are he, him. I believe that all Oreos should be double stuffed Oreos. I really like the Knicks. But when you spend enough time with 90-year-old women that call you honey pie, tall guy, and Greg, that's the one that did it? Okay. You start to learn that surface level bio information. It's just not that important. It's more important to be whoever you are, whenever you are, wherever you are. And wherever I am right now is here at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, with all of you. There are 2 reasons why I'm here. One, because Penny Whitney and Judy Scott were kind and clearly crazy enough to fly me out here. Penny, Judy, thank you. You guys are exceptional leaders and organizers. I got you guys both a little gift, partially as an expression of gratitude, but like mostly, as you could see it, kind of an apology for saying the word penis 3 words into my talk. I hail from New York, so I brought you the gift that never goes out of style, 2 flat brim snapback Yankee hats. Oh my God, you look unbelievable. So the other reason that I'm here is her. Anyone know who that is? That is Queen Elizabeth I. Not to be confused with Bette Midler, who she looked exactly the same from the 1993 American classic, Hocus Pocus. I'm here because in the 16th century, Queen Elizabeth decided to hide something from us. In 1576, Queen Elizabeth enforced something called the Poor Relief Act, which, if you know anything about 16th century white people, did nothing to provide relief to the poor. Rather, the Poor Relief Act stated that anybody who was physically able to perform labor must work, and if you said no to working and you were physically able to, you were sent to jail. But if you were physically unable to perform that labor, you still didn't get a pass. You were sent to the parish, where you were tended to by somebody called the overseer of the poor, which is a terrible name for a parish director, but a great name for a bartender. Overseer of the poor. This had massive implications. It meant if you could not offer economic value to society, you could not reside in society. You had to go somewhere else. Queen Elizabeth hid something from us, and then when the British sailed to America, they continued the hiding. In 1736, in New York City, my city, they opened up their first version of the parish. They called it the almshouse, but it was really the same thing. They even kept the same title for the director, the overseer of the poor. It's like actually the craziest title. Like, imagine in your LinkedIn bio, like, hi, I'm Jonas, I went to Northwestern, 1 year interning for overseer of the poor in New York City. The name changed to the almshouse, but the same sentiment remained. If you cannot contribute economically to society, you cannot reside in society. You have to go somewhere else. By the late 1800s, the almshouse got its next rebrand. They called it the poorhouse. The poorhouse. Apparently, Poverty Hotel was taken. And this wasn't just a New York thing, right? This was an everywhere thing. By 1880, there were 1,800 poorhouses across the United States. But here's the thing, in 1880, this is a really crazy statistic. In 1880, does anyone want to take a stab at what the average life expectancy was? Just a guess.
44. 35.
That's more like 39. Mila Kunis is 39. But in 5 short decades, that life expectancy rose to 59. And very suddenly, living past the point of economic utility wasn't rare anymore. So all of a sudden, you have all of these older adults that start flocking to the poorhouse if they don't have someone to help provide care. So by the 1930s, over 2/3 of all poorhouse residents were older adults. In the 40s, you have hospitals starting to improve. You get your antibiotics and better surgery and all that good stuff. And so all of these people that are in the poorhouses start flocking to the hospitals. But the thing about the hospitals is they were not designed to separate people. They were designed to fix people, get them better, and then send them back into society. So suddenly their beds start filling with people that they could not fix, because these people that were filling those beds didn't need fixing. They didn't need medical care. They needed love. They needed long-term care. So the hospitals are not happy that these beds are full of these older people and people with chronic conditions. So they go to the government and they say, we need help. We don't know what to do. We're not profiting. We're not getting people in. And in 1954, the government acquiesces and says, here, take a whole lot of money. Ironically, this is the same year that the Supreme Court deems it illegal to segregate in public schools. The government gives all of this money to the hospitals to create custodial units for people that they said needed extended recovery. That's what they were calling it. Those custodial units set the groundwork for what is the modern day nursing home. In 1576, Queen Elizabeth hid something from us. She hid ourselves from ourselves. She said, if you cannot offer economic value to society, you cannot reside in society. You have to go somewhere else. And for 450 years, we have heeded that call. We have listened. We stitched together this massive curtain. A curtain stitched first from parishes, then from the almshouses, then stitched out of poorhouses, then stitched out of hospitals, then stitched out of nursing homes. So the first reason that I'm here is because Penny and Judy invited me. But the second reason I'm here is because I was one of the 3 million Americans, or 3 million Americans working long-term care. I was one of the 3 million Americans lucky enough to stumble behind the curtain. And it turns out that what we've been hiding all of these years is humanity. In its most raw, brilliant, magnificent, pure form. Because when you take away that economic pressure, and when you build a community that is more centered around being than doing, you end up with an adult playground, a coral reef teeming with life and love. And if you only dip your toes in those waters, they might feel strange and weird and scary. And that's okay, because it's been hidden from us for so long. It should feel weird, it should feel strange. But if you have the courage to swim in it, if you have the courage to work in long-term care, yeah. So I'd love to tell you guys a little bit about what lies beyond the curtain, at least what I've seen. First of all, the first thing I've seen behind the curtain is love. I started as a CNA on a COVID positive unit in Albuquerque. We try not to say the word unit as much in long-term care because it's very institutional, but it was really a unit. It was your most standard nursing home you could imagine. And to illustrate that, sometimes truth is really just stranger than fiction. This was the building that, does anyone here watch Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad? It was literally the exterior, they used the exterior of that nursing home, of the one that I worked at, because it was just your most standard American nursing home. So I am working as a CNA. A CNA, do you guys all know what a CNA is? Yeah? Oh, dope. Amazing. Yeah. I was not really beloved by my colleague CNAs. I gave everyone a lot of affection, but I was kind of slow at the actual tasks. Like I could imagine, they showed Maria from Panama, like imagine you just get this tall white dude, like doesn't really know what he's doing, and he started showing everyone love, but like I was really slow at passing out trays. I was really slow at making beds. And so as an insult to me, they called me the resident whisperer. English was not the first language. I don't think that they realized that this was like the nicest compliment. I was like so stoked. I called my family. I was like, yeah, they're calling me the resident whisperer. So one day, I'm working, I'm helping a woman toilet, and I hear beyond the door my colleague CNAs take in a new patient. Start as a patient, become a resident because that is your home. And this woman that comes to this nursing home is absolutely frantic. She's screaming and she's crying, and I hear my colleague CNAs, they're snickering to each other. They say, let's give her to the resident whisperer. And so they did. She became my direct assignment. I went to greet this woman, and this is a time when we were using really, really heavy PPE. Like you're wearing the face shields, and then you have the mask on, and you wear the gowns. And so I tried to really overcompensate for that. You get down to people's level, I would hold hands. So I go to this woman's room, I get down, I get close to her, say, hi, I'm Jonas, I'm your CNA today. It's so nice to meet you. Who are you? And she responds, my you. I'm sorry? My you. I was supposed to change the slide. My you. I didn't know what she was saying, and I was fresh. So I went to check her chart, and it turned out that this woman had suffered a really serious stroke. That brought her to the hospital. She had contracted COVID at the hospital. That's why she came to us. The stroke had taken away her, a lot of her verbal skills and left her with only 2 words that she was able to say, my you. So I would try absolutely everything to communicate with this woman. I would use like picture boards, and I would try pointing, but the verbal skills extended to even gestures. I tried every one of the languages that I know. I would point to her lights, say, do you want your lights on or off? And she would say, my you. No head nods or anything. My you. I'd point to her TV. Do you want your TV volume higher? Do you want the TV off? My you. And after I exhausted every single one of the languages that I knew how to speak, the only thing left was to speak her language. So for the next month or so of my life, every day I was engaging in these long conversations with this woman, and we would go back and forth speaking mayonnaise, not to be confused with mayonnaise. We would talk about everything. We would talk about the Knicks. We would talk about her family. My you. I'd be like, yeah, my you. She'd be like, my you. I'd be like, my you. Really long, serious conversations. I didn't really understand what she was saying, but I think speaking her language helped her feel a little bit less alone.
There's a name for it, Jonas.
What?
Validation therapy.
Validation therapy, where you inhabit the world of the resident. You meet them in their world. We communicated a lot through music, and there were a lot of HIPAA regulations, but I managed to record this one clip of us singing with one another. It's kind of faint, but you hear me singing my you, and she's singing my you. I don't know. My you. Oh, you got high on that one. My you. She had a really beautiful voice. I did not expect to get emotional. Long-term care. You start with a penis joke and then you start crying. Like 15 minutes. Wild. That is long-term care though. It is. Long-term care teaches you how to exist alongside someone without trying to change them or to fix them. Beth keenly pointed that out as validation therapy. You learn to inhabit the subjective experience of another being. You become an explorer of new worlds. And sometimes those worlds have new languages. All right, I thought we could all, one slide too far. Come on. I thought we could all take a moment, get a little silly together. If everyone can pair up, we're gonna play a little game. Pair up, find a partner. Raise your hands once you found someone. If we end up being odd numbers, that's fine. I will. I'll take part. Just raise your hands if you have a partner. Actually, that's stupid. Raise your hand if you don't. That's isolating. Okay, I'm gonna be partners with Beth. So here's what you're gonna do. We're gonna take turns. First, we're gonna have one person being the talker and one person being the listener. But before we settle, I don't want to take my you. That holds a very special place in my heart. So I'd rather you guys all pick your own 2 words. It could be chicken nugget. It could be love you. It could be mom, dad. So pick your 2 words. And what you're gonna do is the talker for about 2 minutes, you're gonna tell a story to your partner, but you're only gonna be using those 2 words. If the word is chicken nugget, you will tell your story saying, chicken nugget, chicken nugget, chicken nugget, chicken nugget, chicken nugget. And as a listener, your goal is not to decipher what the story is about, but to occupy the emotional experience, to be a part of their world. Have fun. Any fun word duos chosen? Spaceship and light bulb. Right on. And what was it? Sorry? Tennis shoes. Right on. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for engaging in that. I think it's a really great exercise, and I wanna hone in on that word exercise, because I really, and this is something really targeted to the folks that are like in school right now. I really wish someone had told me this. I think I would have ended up working long-term care a lot earlier. The profession that you choose, the type of work that you choose, has certain like repetitions, and what you end up doing is exercising certain skills. And so those skills in the profession that you choose end up naturally getting sharpened. If you choose to be a baseball player, you end up improving your hand-eye coordination. If you choose to be a neurosurgeon, you improve your hand steadiness. If you choose to be an accountant, you get really good at tax evasion. But in long-term care, as you all just noticed by playing the game, the skills that you sharpen are love, our presence, our listening, our compassion, and those are tools that translate to everything. I hate to say it, but I hate to bring AI into this conversation, but with the rise of AI and automation, we're gonna have an algorithm that does our taxes. We're probably gonna have a robot that does our neurosurgery. We probably won't have robot baseball players, but I have a feeling if any of you guys were like professional baseball players, you probably wouldn't be at a job fair right now. I know that these AI bots are coming because every single image generated, as you might have noticed, they're a little weird and wonky. Every single image in this presentation was generated by AI. The thing is, that love, that presence, that compassion, those are the skills that will be hardest for a robot to emulate, right? Those human skills are going to be the ones that are at a premium in the next stage of our global development. This woman, the one who only said my you, she turned out to be this amazing singer. And we ended up communicating a lot just by like singing to one another, as I showed you. And then I started to realize that with song, we could actually transcend just my you, because I could sing to her certain things and then she would respond at the right moments with my you. I would sing to her the song My Boo by Usher and Alicia Keys. Started when we were younger, you were mine, my you. It was dope. And then one day, this unbelievable thing happened. I was in her room, I was doing this like cleaning work, like kind of simple work. And I had music playing. I have this Spotify playlist called Dan's Era, My Dad is Dan. It's all classic rock music from his days. And the song Let It Be comes on. And we get to the chorus of Let It Be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. She sang the words to the song Let It Be. She sang the actual words. It turned out that somewhere in this woman's body, in her brain, in her soul, music existed and it hadn't been affected by her stroke. Behind the curtain, there is love, there is presence. Oh, those are all the AI photos. Oh, that's a photo, that's a slide I probably should have shown when I sang that song. But behind the curtain, there is love, there is presence, there is compassion, and there's also perspective. That absolute hunk, that is like the only photo in this presentation that AI did not generate. That's really just that cool ass dude next to a cool motorcycle. That is a Swedish sociologist named Lars Tornström. A lot of people associate aging with wisdom, but Lars spent 20 years studying older adults, and he felt that wisdom didn't quite tell the whole story. There was something else. So what Lars did was he created this survey, and it was composed of 5 statements. And he sent it out to all of these people, like 4,000 people from age 20 to 104. And he asked how much they agreed with, identified with those statements. I feel connected with the entire universe. I feel that I am a part of everything alive. I feel a strong connection with earlier generations. I can feel a strong presence of people who are elsewhere. Sometimes I feel like I live in the past and present simultaneously. He calculated all 5 of those statements into one score that he called the Transcendence Index. So if you agreed with a lot of those statements, you would have a very high Transcendence Index, and if you disagreed, you would have a low Transcendence Index. And this is what he found. It turns out that Lars was onto something. And this is why you all need to call your grandparents. It turns out that aging, that life is just this one long spiritual awakening. And it starts to peak in your final years. Lars noticed such an obvious correlation, as you can see here, between aging and transcendence that he created a new word to describe it. Gerotranscendence. Gerotranscendence is defined by these 3 relationships that start to change as you get older. You begin to form a more comfortable relationship with yourself, but at the same time, you become less attached to yourself. You are a little bit more selective with the people you spend time with. You feel connected to so much. You don't really need to go to those like parties, the superficial parties where like you're not actually talking about anything. But at the same time, you feel a lower attachment to social roles. You don't feel beholden. It's not like Jonas CNA, it's just Jonas. And you feel this increased attachment to everything, a connection to the infinite, and a decreased fear of death. Can you imagine how existentially beneficial it is to spend your time around souls who are high on that transcendence index? It is impossible to explain just how much it changes you to bask in this perspective. And you are around this perspective every moment, every day in long-term care. I don't think, like, I'm an anxious dude. I'm up here, wiggling around, and I think that I owe that to the time that I've spent around older adults. The understanding that like I am you, you are me, like we're all just one. It's not that crazy. The stakes aren't that high. You feel the stakes begin to lower a little bit. So I wanted to give you guys like a little taste of what that's like. So I went to one of the residents that I work with currently. His name is Arthur. What was crazy about this is it was literally Tuesday. I flew here on Wednesday, right? Judy? I flew here on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, yesterday.
So Tuesday, I was just like, I should probably show them something. And so I just went to Arthur, and it was like the first 5 minutes of our conversation. This is the profundity that you are exposed to in the world of long-term care.
I look good on camera.
Yeah, you do.
You're a great guy.
Thank you.
It's the same way with two great guys.
We are two great guys.
We would have fun on camera.
Yes, we would.
In fact, we would be better off on camera than in regular camera.
I believe that.
Sure.
Arthur, what are your thoughts about love?
Love, L-O-V-E.
Yeah,
I love it.
you love love.
I love love. I love being in love. I really do. I really love. I love being in love. And
Do you feel in love currently?
I think I'm always in love. And it's not with a woman. So it's not with a person. But it's a way of, like I'm in love with someone who really cares about me. Wow. Does that feel good? And it makes me feel good because I feel good most of the time.
What is it like to be Arthur?
Powerful. Arthur Amos is a powerful man. And how I see it more than ever every day is that each day I try to work as hard as I can to be an honest man, and to have integrity in everything that I do, and not get in people's way. And what I notice is that whether or not, wherever I am, people know my name. They know my name. They'll say, "Hello, Arthur." Yeah, if I go down to a boat place, "Hello, Arthur. How are you?" And I say, "Wow, how wonderful it is that who I am, people like me, or they get me." And I don't even know their names, but they'll say it, and I say, that is a privilege in America to be able to say to somebody, "Look, yeah, this is me.
Arthur,
This is me."
what has it been like for you getting older?
Oh, but I don't get older.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't get older.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I don't get older.
What do you mean you don't get older?
I don't get older.
Can you explain?
Yeah. I don't feel older. I don't have an age.
Literally, I just went in there on Tuesday. You see it, comfort in his own skin, the presence of people who are elsewhere, that timelessness of not aging. That can be pathologized sometimes. Some people call that dementia. seriously. I would say it's not. I would say it is the acquisition of a new perspective. Behind the curtain, there is love. Behind the curtain, there is perspective. But behind the curtain, there is also need. First off, I just want to say, not everyone in long-term care is older adults. We just have to make that clear. I've had residents with TBIs, which have traumatic brain injuries, who are younger than me, 25. But just being realistic with ourselves, being pragmatic, the majority are older adults. And you know, remember that life expectancy jump I was referring to from 39 to 59 over the course of 50 years? Just like that expectancy jump, right now, the population dynamics are changing. In 2016, in the US, there were 24 million more people that were under 18. Wait, that's right. In 2016 in the US, I didn't go into math. I mean, everyone makes that joke when they mess up. Like, in 2016, there were 24 million more people under 18 years old than over 65. But in 2060, it is projected that there is to be 15 more million people older than 65 than under 18. That's a really dramatic shift. That's a big deal. And here in Colorado, as was mentioned very eloquently by the last couple speakers, here in Colorado, that age balance is changing right now. This is the projected population change by age group from 2021 to 2031 here in Colorado. That top bar, that is the total percentage population change. So you're expected as a state to grow 11.6%. You're gonna have 11.6% more people. But you're gonna have 65% more people aged 75 to 84, and you're gonna have 51% more people over the age of 85. And you'd think, right, with those population differences, you'd think we'd have a corresponding, you guys hear me without the microphone? I'm like not using it, am I? You'd think we'd have this corresponding boom in the long-term care workforce, but we are not. We are seeing the opposite. This is a really amazing chart shown to me by a friend of mine, Rick Amash, and you see the cumulative percentage change of healthcare workers in their field. And so this was just in the last 2 years or so. Obviously, COVID happens and people get terrified. A ton of healthcare workers immediately are leaving their jobs. That's April 2020. But the hospitals, healthcare, outpatient, physicians, those fields bounce back. Nursing care facilities, community care facilities for the elderly, they're not even close to where we were. The number of people who cannot contribute economic value to society is about to skyrocket. And it is our duty to create a workforce that recognizes value beyond economic. A care force that values love, that values perspective, that values truth, that recognizes need. The task at hand is not small, but neither was Alfonso's penis. And you know what, you guys, I was able to lift that up just fine. Most people do not understand long-term care, and it's not our fault. It was hidden from us for 450 years. But people don't want the fake anymore. We're so addicted to our phone. I feel it every day. We're so addicted to our devices. We don't want what's on screen anymore. We want truth. And I truly, deeply believe if we can show the beauty, the love, the perspective, the Arthurs, the Mayonnaise behind the curtain, they will come. We will mobilize a next generation of long-term care partners. We will jumpstart the aging workforce. That's my prez.